Jason, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yay! And then we're there. Perfect. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good.
How are you doing with the quarantine? You having fun?
I'm having an excellent time watching my son do burpees and push-ups while my other son's trying to tear him apart.
Well, that's
the 2-year-old's trying to tear apart the 15-year-old while he's holding a sausage patty in one hand.
As long as the 15-year-old can defend himself from the 2-year-old with the sausage, he should be okay. No,
you think it would be that easy? It's not.
Sometimes the ones that love you the most are the ones that'll hurt you the most.
Yeah.
Speaking of hurting the ones you love the most, I asked you to review the first 20 or 30 minutes of How High 2 for me. And for those of you that don't know Jason, my friend Jason Chaveria, the man we're on the phone with, he is a Jiu-jitsu brown belt out of American Top Team in Florida, currently in lovely Soldotna, Alaska, where he is the head coach at Mountain Jiu-Jitsu. Good enough intro so far? All right.
Yep.
Also, a youth minister.
Yep.
If you want to give some of those credentials real quick and why it was important, and then we can go into why it was important that you watch the first 20 or 30 minutes of How High 2.
Why was it important?
I'm sorry. Let me clarify a question. Could you run down some of your credentials so that you can speak as a man of faith on the topic at hand, just so folks understand who you are and what you're about.
All right. Well, I became a Christian in 1994. Gave my life to the Lord after being arrested for the 5th time. And my sister took me to church after they released me from, the holding cell there at Station 5 in Miami. And she took me to church, and I'd been to church several times before that, but this time it was different. I had a really, I felt the Spirit of God really touching, pulling at my heart. So I surrendered my life to God, and then shortly after, a couple years after, I went to Bible college in Cleveland, Tennessee at Lee University. It's a Church of God school. And I went there for a year, and then I ended up getting my exhorter's license through the Church of God.
What is that?
And it's like credentials to preach,
Okay.
And then in the Church of God, through that denomination. And then, ended up, being in ministry. This is from about 96 all the way, from high school all the way to, for a while. I don't know, I've been in since I was 17. So I'm 43 now, so you do the math. And then,
I'm not that good at math. I'll have you know.
Well, somebody's good at math out there.
So if somebody is good at math right now, when this is all done,
26 years. It's 26 years.
I was gonna give a raffle. I was gonna pay for someone to get a private with you after all of this is done and the quarantining is done. I was gonna pay for someone to get a private with you. Okay. But you ruined the math. You ruined it with science.
Sorry.
And no, all good. Yeah. I ruined your history.
Yeah. Well, then at about 2006, I retired my credentials for personal reasons with the denomination I was in. Not that they're like a crazy denomination, this and that. I just started working at a non-denominational church, and I liked the way that went. I also forgot to mention I didn't get saved in the Church of God. I got saved in an Assembly of God church, and then I was discipled as a teenager, 17, 18 years old, in the Foursquare Church because we moved, and then I went to a Church of God school, and then I was in the Church of God for a while. Which they're all the church. They're all the same body of Christ, which that means the church. And yeah, it's just different teams, I guess, all playing football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we moved up here. I started going to Trinity Christian Center after I left the Church of God. I was a youth pastor at a couple different churches here in town. At Soldana Church of God, I was a youth pastor at Kenai Church of God, and then ended up leaving the Kenai Church of God and went to Trinity Christian Center, where I started youth pastoring there after a while, and yeah, and I've been there ever since. And but I retired my credentials. I wrote them a letter and told them I was done working under the Church of God denomination. And yeah, so I've been working under my church, Trinity Christian Center, which is I guess umbrellaed under ICCM. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So you know your way around faith. You know your way around Christianity. At least more of the light side of Christianity, of course. And I'm sure you're quite familiar with the dark side, with some of the darker, like, you can tell when there's darkness about, so to speak.
Well, yeah, man.
Okay. So I asked you to watch the first 20 or 30 minutes of How High To, because there was some imagery that I felt a little weird seeing, and a little, like, I don't want to say I was uncomfortable, but I viewed it, and there was an immediate darkness to it, and not even, like anything juvenile, like, clearly thought was put into what they were doing when they did it. Now, inside the first 20 minutes of the film, and spoiler alert, what did you see that stuck out to you?
From beginning to the part that you told me to watch?
Well, let's specifically the part I told you to watch, the weed Bible portion. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're sitting on their couch in the basement of their mom's house, and they're bored, and they're like overgrown teenagers, right?
Yeah.
And they're out of high school or dropped out, I'm not sure. And they're stressing about making money and how they try to go to the bank and get a loan, but he didn't look the part. And I'll tell you what, there was a lot of funny scenes in there, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I will say that in that film, DC Youngfly he's the star of the show.
Okay, which one was that? It wasn't
not Little Yachty. Not Little Yachty. The other guy that the more, I don't know, the more colorful dude. I mean, Little Yachty has bright hair. Shoot, did he have red hair? Man.
Red braid? It was like red braid?
No, not red braid guy. No, that's Little Yachty.
Okay.
So DC Youngfly is the other cat.
Is that the name he's going by? Is DC Youngfly?
That is the name that he chose.
Okay, so he's a comedian, like an old. Yeah, he's been around for a while.
He's been around for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a show that was called the Harlem Comedy Show that I used to watch when I was a teenager, like 14 years old. Do you remember that? Like Harlem Comedy Hour? No. I would have been in Germany at the time. No, but I know he's been around for a while. Like I researched the people in the film just because it was so bad. But DC Youngfly's funny as hell. He's hilarious.
Sorry. Yeah, he's a very funny comedian. He's really awesome. And I recommend folks go onto YouTube and check him out. Not in this though. Interesting note though, he was in another sequel recently. He was in I Got the Hookup Too.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So like he's a person to call when you want to make your franchise funny. If you have a dead, tired franchise, right? And I'm not saying I mean, like, how high, too? I got excited when I heard about it, but the film was bad. But I do kind of want to stick to,
okay,
like the contents of the Weed Bible and the contents of the Weed Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, so they he knocks a picture off the wall, and then there's a brick missing in the wall, and there's it was a graduation picture is what fell off the wall, so I guess they did graduate from high school. So he reaches into this hole in the wall, and they pull out this Weed Bible, which is like a notebook.
Yeah.
Right?
It's kind of, I don't know. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. We'll do it again.
Yeah, and it looks like somebody took notes while they were growing weed, right? Step by step. Yeah. I mean, I'm no stranger to that life, right? I had a feeling I knew what was going on there. Yeah, I mean, this is somebody that took notes, and then there's like a big old blunt taped to the front of it. And, so he wants to, one of them, Little Yachty, wants to read the notebook, and DC Young, what's his name? DC Younglove?
DC Youngfly.
Youngfly.
Yeah.
Okay, so DC Youngfly says, no, let's smoke that what's on front of it. So they smoke it, and they go on this trip through, like, space and time, and then they have, like, this outer-body experience where they go, this psychedelic roller coaster, and it stops off in this field where, what's his name? He's hilarious, too.
The cameos are great.
Yeah, and they're like, are we in heaven? And he said, no, man, this ain't heaven. And he said, you wouldn't make it, the chick says, you two wouldn't make it to heaven anyways. And then they go on, this is like banter back and forth, and a lot of, trying to explain different names of weed or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he tells them that this weed will give you super powers to fight evil or fight crime or something. and so they go back and they're like, oh, I'm glad that's over with. And then they said, let's hit it again. And he goes, no, let's read this book. And so they read the Weed Bible. And so they open it up, and they're going through the pages, and there's some funny, like, high school sketchings in there, right?
Yeah.
And then they open up to where how to set your lights up around the plant, and the way that they do the lighting, how the lighting is hitting the plant. It's like dots, like little short dotted lines of the light coming out of the lamp onto the plant, and the way the lines line up is in a pentagram. You are correct.
Okay. So are you familiar with Yachty?
No, man. No, I stopped listening to rap music in 1994, so there you go. It was like all of that. I stepped away from everything.
Fair enough. Enough.
I wouldn't say rap music. I would say I stepped away from worldly music because I still listen to, like, certain Christian rappers and stuff.
So I want to run. We can talk about music in a minute because, I'm always down to talk about music. But what did you make about some of the symbology, like, inside of the book, calling it, like, the Weed Bible, and then specifically, like, the pentagram? Do you think something like that is in a film like this intentionally?
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, I've been seeing, like, on Instagram and Facebook, a lot of people are bringing to light the influx of Satanism in the media, music, movies, and mostly in, like, black culture and American black culture. Because you just can't say black culture because it's not like Australian Aborigines or or South African or, people from Kenya, it's specifically American black culture. And, and there, I noticed some guy was talking about, man, he was going off about it. And selling their lives to gain the world, selling their souls to gain the world, which is an age-old tale, right? With a story with, what's his name? The guitar player that sold his soul to the devil.
Robert Johnson?
Robert Johnson, yeah.
That was the story. Yeah,
what,
that he, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
What I heard from that story was he played like a 1 or 2 string guitar, and he was so good at guitar. And I used to have a poster of him on my wall because I'm a guitar player when I was a kid. And he the story was that he was so slick with his words and just a player, good-looking guy, played guitar very well, and that he was just winning over women left and right. And like he walked into town, he's like, "Where are the white women?" And it was like he and that they started lies about him selling his soul to the devil, so women wouldn't be attracted to him, I guess, or I don't know. That's how he got so good at guitar. I mean, Oh Brother Where Art Thou did that little.
Yeah, there was that little tribute to him in Oh Brother Where Art Thou that was cool. Yeah, I'm glad someone else my age picked up the Robert Johnson reference in Oh Brother Where Art Thou? Where Art Thou? There's all kinds of stories when you start looking into the occult in rap music. Juice WRLD was a very very obvious, very recent example of that. There was a video of him. It's weird that a lot of this is spread via Instagram, but yeah, a video of him selling his soul around a pentagram, of candles, out somewhere. But yeah, it's there, and it's and whether or not, not to get into too much of like a religious discussion, although that's why I asked you here, so like interject anytime. But it seems like whether or not any of that's out there, you're giving credence to an energy, right? Like to this negative, ugly energy, and you're putting it out there, and it's good. That's how it's going to be received. So whether or not so and so did this or so and so did that, like they still put that out there. They still put out that energy, and they're on the receiving end of that. Like whatever negative energy you put out, you'll end up on the receiving end of that same negative energy.
Maybe that's his plan, I mean, that's what he wants. He's a slave to it. So what comes to my mind immediately, anytime it comes to music and media, of all sorts, is Ephesians, the book of Ephesians, and in chapter 2, and it talks about Satan, the devil, being the god of this world and the prince and the power of the air, and a lot of people would question, well, isn't God, our Lord, the God of this world? And it's not a statement of the earth. The world is not a statement of our planet. He's the God of this like the social era. You know what I mean? Like humanity. Like when he was kicked out of heaven and was sent to earth, he wasn't the God of this earth. He was only became the God and the ruler of this earth when Adam gave over his dominion to Satan. And so, in Paul's writing in Ephesians, he said, some of us, we were slaves to that, but now we're not. And Paul starts going into great detail in chapter 6 of, he starts talking about in the first segment is children, be obedient to your parents, submit yourselves to your parents, which is it's one of the commandments in the 10 Commandments, and it's the only commandment with a promise that you'll have a long life. And then he starts going into slavery and masters and slaves. And then he says, And then the next part is, well, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So our fight is not a physical fight, is what he's saying, but against principalities, powers, and darkness. So it's a spiritual battle that takes place. So the prince of the power of the air is what we hear and see and what's being put out into the atmosphere, right? And Satan is in charge of that. Whether somebody is wholeheartedly given over to that, like this little Yachty doing the witchcraft symbol of him laying in the middle of a pentagram, or even somebody that's not doing the Lord's work, and they may not be wholly submitted to Satan, right? Not committed or any kind of credence or whatever, but they don't preach, their message isn't God's word, right? Yeah. It's an influence to which the first part of the movie is just like full of just like sin, dude. It's just full of sin and temptation and falling short of the righteousness of God, which we all do, But then they give their lives over to this. I didn't watch the rest of the movie, but it seems like they give their lives over to this weed Bible, as if it has a message of salvation in it, And because when you hear the word Bible, you immediately think, right, the Holy Bible.
Yeah.
Right, immediately. When we hear the word Bible, we don't think of the Latin root of it, book. We don't think of book. We think of the Holy Bible, and that's what it's referring to. It's referring to that this book has a salvation message, and this is going to save you, because they were in their basement in a lower place, and they're looking for something to save them. They're looking to be saved, and here you go. Here's the weed Bible. This is what's going to save you. And within that is the weed Bible is the message of Satan. So yeah, you're probably right, man. And I would say it's in almost everything secular. You
see it. It's weird. We're having this. I'm specifically having this conversation about an awakening on a more regular basis when I stop and talk to people, right? Or when I stop and talk to people.
Yeah.
Everyone is seeing these things, and it used to be like these fringe ideas talking about the dark influence on society, and I'm guilty of it myself. But when you start seeing it, you can't unsee it. It's like you've done enough research to be a little bit dangerous to everybody.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things I'm just not going to be able to ever look at the same, because I understand what the symbolism is, and I have a better understanding of where it comes from. But when you see it in front of you, and it's so blatant that you can't escape it, but then it's projected out.
Yeah.
Like you have to know it's there, and
you can't ignore it.
You can't ignore that was that, and that's where the intention was.
Yeah. But that's why this is when I talk to like a lot of young people about pornography. I'm like, you know what? It grabs a hold of your mind and your heart and your soul, and it takes you captive. And I said, and if you want to be ruined with pornography, real quick, I can just tell you most of that stuff is from human trafficking, and those girls are slaves, and they've been kidnapped and taken captive, and they're held in small apartments all over the world, and they're being raped, drugged and raped, and people are watching it on the internet. They're watching their sisters, their daughters, they're watching women that could be women in their lives being taken advantage of. And then you can never get that image out of your head. You cannot unsee what you've already seen. It's there. And hopefully a person can humble themselves and ask for forgiveness from God and accept His grace and move on, you know, and share that message, you know, because like you said, there's things you cannot unsee, man, and that's the whole thing with the garden, where the knowledge of good and evil, when Adam and Eve partook of the fruit of knowledge and good and evil in the Bible, I don't know if it was a fruit or what have you, but in the Bible, fruit is defined as an action, a behavior. And their first sin was just disobedience to God. And your fruit is like what people see in you. So like the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, kindness, self-control, right? And then it goes into the works of the flesh. So, you know, and it's all this other stuff that's like bitterness, jealousy, you know, murder, all these different things. And so they experienced the knowledge of good and evil, and they couldn't unsee it. You know what I mean? And they were ashamed of what they experienced, and they covered themselves with leaves. You know, and that's the thing, man. We do things in our life that are evil, and we're ashamed of it, and we try to cover it up with, let's say, good deeds, and we try to work our way to heaven. But then God was like, no, dude. He's calling out to Adam in the garden, and Adam, he's like, where are you? And Adam wasn't answering him. He was hiding. And we hide from the light, you know, behind our, let's say, our good deeds, you know, or what we think could get us into heaven, or our shame. You know, we're hiding in our shame. Somewhere we're hiding. We're trying to bury this, what we just saw, like a little, because we're children. We're children of God. So we're hiding from our Father. You know, from discipline, because we're ashamed. And then it said he had to sacrifice an animal and cover them with animal skins. And it says the only way to get rid of sin is with the shedding of blood is the only way for remission of sins. So that was like foreshadowing Jesus' death at the cross. And the only way that we can receive grace into heaven, acceptance into heaven, access into heaven is through the sacrifice and blood of Christ to cover us. I don't know, man. There's a lot going on there. But at the same time, man, I think we've been in this battle from the beginning of the age of the creation of everything, really.
So this isn't a new thing. All right. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
But it's a weird thing because I don't know. We're receiving information from fewer and fewer sources at this point. We have a couple of major streaming providers that provide a whole bunch of information, and there are avenues inside of that. So it's like getting cable and then getting these additional channels like Amazon Prime, getting HBO Go, and all these other things. But generally speaking, we have information. The information that we get comes from Netflix, it comes from Amazon Prime, and it comes from YouTube. If we're not getting it from like the traditional sources, right?
Yeah.
But everyone's so subscribed to like whatever their feed is that if the only sites you go to on a daily basis are, Fox News, CNN, Huffington Post, and maybe Breitbart for fun, like you're still only getting these information that's filtered through and filtered down to you in the way that, however it's being programmed to us because it's all presented with algorithms.
Yeah.
How do you at this point keep yourself out of that? I mean,
I don't even watch it, man. Look, that's something a lot of people, because there's a lot of back and forth on that. I have a lot of people in my church that they're obsessed with the news and what's going on in the world and politics and the right and the left, and you know what I'm saying. And so they pick and choose what they're going to watch, which in essence they all watch the same thing, just like you said. They all watch the same things. Where do I get my information from, Bill? Mostly from you. I'm sorry. No, I don't watch, dude. I don't watch the news, man. I I pray a lot. I read the Bible, and I'll tell you, it's weird. I get a lot of my information from just praying in the Spirit of God, and how I pray. God tells me how to pray, and what I'm praying for is usually what's going on in the world, because God's asking me to intercede and intercede means like stand in the gap for, right? Like fight a battle for somebody else. And so that's usually what I'm doing, man. And I'll pray with certain scriptures, that pertain to the time that I'm feeling, I pray the word of God. And so that's where I'm at. And then I just listen to people talk in the areas that I go, like I work at a high school. So I get to hear a lot of chatter from teenagers. I get to hear a lot of chatter from teachers. I work in the church, so I get to hear a lot of different church people talk. And I work in a gym, and I get to hear a lot. And then at the gym, I think at gyms you get the most multicultural group of people in one setting. I would say, so I get to hear chatter from all those different guys. And for some reason in jiu-jitsu and martial arts, you're going to get the broader thinking people. They're out there, right? These are the conspiracy theory people. These are the people that question everything because they're martial artists. They're always poking and prodding, looking for the truth and what's real. Especially these days. There was like a sweep through the nation after like Vietnam and stuff of martial arts that entered America from all these veterans that would learn these Far East combatives, and then all of a sudden all these karate schools are popping up, and especially with the boom in kung fu movies because of Bruce Lee, in the 70s and 80s, then you had this weird phenomenon of kung fu in New York amongst black people, hip hop and all that, right? And I was a part of that era. I took karate when I was a little kid. I took taekwondo, and I watched we had kung fu theater every Saturday, and that would come on. I think it was Channel 39, WDZL in Miami, and which is now the WB, but or something else now, I don't know. But I would watch all of that, and so we were always broad-minded, thinking fantasy and about martial arts, and then all of a sudden UFC came into play, and they tested all that, and even me and my son were always thinking, is that real? Is that real? Were the Shaolin monks really that powerful? Back in the whenever 1800s, whenever they were rescuing princes and stuff for their emperors, So a lot of myths were shattered with martial arts as of within the last 20 years, and we've seen what true martial arts is, and the martial artists within jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and MMA and all that stuff really question everything in life. What'd you say?
I would agree. There's something about there's a very psychedelic experience in getting choked out. The first time and when I mean choked out, I mean not tapping to a choke and going out, because it's you make that conscious decision to die briefly for a second, whatever, cut off the oxygen. But it's
Did you get put out? Did you get put out voluntarily?
Yeah. Yeah.
I went through a phase where I was as a purple belt was encouraged to not tap and fight every choke, everything, every choke, tap to arm bars and everything, but to fight every choke unless I went out. And let me tell you, man, it's not good. I don't encourage anybody to do that. I tell you what, you'll get good at not getting in chokes.
Okay, I think that was probably the point.
Yeah, you'll get good at not getting in the choke because because what happens is as certain like purple belts, you get like an ego, or even white belts. Some people have an ego where they just want to get in a submission and then fight out of it. And the whole deal is not to fight out of the submission, but to not let the submission happen at all. And and I think that's what my coach was trying to get across to me, was like, stop being so hard-headed and egotistical, and that you can get out of submissions. Don't get in them. And it teaches you a life lessons, Don't go where there's trouble. Don't get in trouble. If you sense something's wrong, don't go there. You're not that tough. Nobody's that tough. Yeah, that you can't withstand temptation, or you can't fight bullets. Maybe he was teaching me that lesson, or maybe that's just a lesson I gathered from it.
We're gonna say yes. We're just gonna say yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the euphoric psychedelic feeling that you got from being put out voluntarily, you crazy man.
Well, it was it's weird. It's hard to explain. So I had this. I just hit my birthday, right, during the stay-at-home period.
Yeah.
And I had this firm belief for the last year that I was going to die before my 40th birthday. Like on my 40th birthday, I was going to die. Right? It was it was in my head. I was convinced that this was going to happen to me somehow, some way. I was going to die. But with that being said, I was like, it started like popping in my brain. Like the story ends at 40. The story ends at 40. The story ends at 40. But with that that idea of death, it's like I was reflecting on it. I'm still reflecting on it, like every day. But I think that jiu-jitsu and martial arts, I think they're good at keeping you grounded into that. If you know that you can get choked out, if you know you can get really hurt, this can happen, this can happen, this can happen any day of the week, then it makes the existence a little bit sweeter, I think. Yeah.
Everything's easier after wrestling. That's what Dan Gable says.
So think about doing jiu-jitsu in the summer after a day of training, going to ride skateboards afterwards. It just feels better. Everything feels a little bit better. Cold water tastes that much better because you had to struggle because it was ugly.
Right.
Right. So it's that
it gives you appreciation. Gives you appreciation for life. Yeah,
absolutely.
That might be why I stay with jiu-jitsu, because it's there's that thing like, why do we train? Why do we fight? Why do we do this stuff? Like I haven't been at my. So I left my gym in 2016. In February, I blew out my knee and I had to have surgery. I blew out my knee and I didn't have insurance. I didn't have money to pay for the surgery. So for about almost 3 weeks, my leg was stuck in one position, and I went into depression, and I thought my world was over because I was just living jiu-jitsu, from 6 in the morning till sometimes 11 at night, and I had a family, so it was very selfish of me to live that life, I feel, but it all came abruptly to a quick end, and then I couldn't be on the mats, I couldn't do nothing, I couldn't leave my house, and then my coach, my dad got me a hookup for surgery to happen. My dad's an X-ray tech, and he knows a lot of doctors, and we did some things, and it worked out. And but my coach, it seemed like this was his opportunity, kind of to move the kid I was training into place to take my place, and we had a disagreement, and so I ended up leaving. And then for the longest time, since 2016, it's now 2020, I haven't had a coach. So for 4 years, and we were going to move to Colorado, and it didn't pan that way because my wife really wanted to be home in her home here in Soldotna, Alaska. And so we ended up coming here, and it's worked out for the better for our family. My kids are thriving in school. My daughter's more social. She's a social butterfly, and my son is doing excellent at his schoolwork, and we ended up having 2 more kids, and it's just a sign of us being happy as a family, and I started my own gym because, man, I have to train, and I don't know what it is, like you're talking about your dog chasing the dragon, it's like, I don't know what it is that I'm chasing after, but I have to train, and it's the weirdest thing, man, because it's not like I don't know, it's not like I have to be a tough dude, I know I can defend myself, and it's not even about that. I don't even care about self-defense no more. I don't think I ever did, I don't even know what it is. I got into it to lose weight. So
that was how I got into jiu-jitsu, and by all means, like, I'm a 10-year white belt, so like I'm not anyone whose jiu-jitsu journey anyone should be following. But the first time that I did jiu-jitsu was on a deployment. I think I took off 60 pounds during that deployment, and it came from jiu-jitsu. It came from some just grinding it out on those mats, from wrestling and shit stuff.
Yeah, man.
I want to take the opportunity to explain my dog chasing the dragon for anyone listening. So, I'm working on this idea that taking your dog on a long walk is a lot like is very much like a psychedelic experience for your dog. Dogs have very short memories. When they go out, they're essentially going to another planet. They're stepping out of their world, which is your yard, your house, your space, and going someplace that's absolutely foreign to them. So if it's me walking my dogs along the Kalaponsky Beach trail, the Kalaponsky Beach Road Trail down there, for my dog, that might as well be Mars. Like, there's a whole bunch of cars, there's trees, there's a lot going on that is much more than what she's used to. When we're walking in the woods, it's a billion different smells, and dogs smell so much differently than we do. They're picking up all kinds of scents. That's like a whole other dimension for them that they're getting that we're not getting. So when you take your dog from that environment, you get him back in the car, you drive home, and then you drop the dog off at the house, they just had so much excitement. They just had like a psychedelic experience. My dog didn't want to get out of the car when we got home because she was just having such a good time on her in that other plane, in that other dimension, that she didn't want to go back to the regular life of like hanging out on the couch.
Yeah.
Chasing the dragon.
Chasing the dragon.
That, and you don't want your dog to step on any one of the heroin needles that's thawing out in the snow.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to drag your dog who stepped on some heroin needle. Now they've got a lean on them. Cars are driving by. They see you dragging your dog. They think you just abused them, but no, your dog's chasing the dragon.
They don't know that. Yeah.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
People just driving by being judgy McJudgersons.
Judgy McJudgerson. Yeah. Yep, they do that.
I recently pulled myself off of Facebook again, and it's contributing to my overall happiness.
All right. So that's why you haven't seen my video.
No, like I have Messenger, and I just don't go into Messenger as much as I should. But yeah, you sent me a video from your church.
Children's church. You're gonna love it.
Okay, all right. I'm sure I will. Now, if I love it, can I share it on the in the descriptions for this podcast?
Yeah, dude.
All right. Normally, I try to think of like a cool, clever title for podcast episodes, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what to call this one right now.
Well, this is the Weed Bible discussion. Is what it is. It's the Weed Bible discussion. I mean, really, that's what it was. It was like the pentagram and the myth. After that, I didn't watch the rest of the book. Did they keep reading through the book?
They don't, like, once they get done with that, they don't go too big into it until it gets stolen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, spoiler alert, the Weed Bible gets stolen.
Right.
But since you didn't finish it, let me if you're not going to watch it, I'm going to tell you a completely different ending, because if you're going to watch it, you're doing it at your own accord. Just imagine that it's much better with the ending I'm telling you. The last 45 minutes to an hour of that movie is just Mike Epps doing stand-up. Oh,
so it's gold then.
Just don't actually watch the rest of the movie because you'll be sorely disappointed. But if you stick with the ending, that the last 45 minutes is Mike Epps in front of an audience doing stand-up, then it'll be better than what's actually there.
He's so funny, man. I remember watching him so much. Do you remember in was the movie he did with Ice Cube?
Which one?
Was the one where they won a
All About the Benjamins?
Yeah. That movie, dude, he's nonstop. He's nonstop. That guy. Can you imagine hanging out with that guy? You wouldn't get a word in. He's nonstop with the jokes.
Why would you speak though? Like
No, I mean, yeah.
I would shut up and just get the gold.
Dude, my abs would be ripped, and my face would hurt from laughing and smiling so much.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the rest of the movie isn't Mike Epps doing stand-up.
Yeah.
I appreciated him in that cameo, though. I do appreciate Mike Epps in a cameo in a movie that was so clearly influenced by Friday and I Got the Hookup. Way more.
For real, yeah. Oh, big
way
time.
more than How High. Like,
it was Friday, and it was like Friday and a Scary Movie put together. You know the Scary movies?
Yeah, the Wayans Brothers movies.
The Wayans Brothers, yeah. It was super lame. I mean,
it was a bunch of movies that weren't How High. Like that's it.
Yeah.
That's all I can really say about the film.
Well, honestly, I never watched all of How High either. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I've caught clips of that, and and I don't know is that the one with Method Man and Redman?
Yes.
And there's like when he smokes, there's like a ghost or something.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That one probably has satanic influence also. I mean, doesn't Redman have a song like "Come Down into the Pit" or something? I don't know.
I don't know about that. I can neither confirm nor deny that he's got anything about coming down to the pit. He's got, Let's Get Dirty with DJ Cool, and then he was on the track with Christina Aguilera, which samples his track. But I can neither confirm nor deny that he's got a song about coming down to the pit. I
think he does.
I don't know. They had it. Yeah, there were ghosts in that film. But I will also say that Ben Franklin, from the research I've done, was actually a cannabis smoker, and so there was some historical accuracy in the film.
Okay.
So, but they also had Bufu.
Is that another rapper, or is that...
No, that was Redman and Method Man's clothing line in the movie. It was By Us, not Love You, but the other one.
Okay, so they're competing against Fubu?
Yeah, it was Bufu, By Us, Love You. Yeah.
See, that's funny, man.
That was real funny. That was like, I don't know if you've seen, because there's a long history of these really, really good movies. I Got the Hookup, the very first I Got the Hookup. Cellular 2 was the name of the big evil cellular company in that movie.
When did I Got the Hookup come out?
98, if I'm correct.
Okay, yeah. So I was in a band in high school, and we were called No Hookup. And it was because we had no connection that day, and we couldn't. Yeah. And
I thought it was a faith thing because, like, as a Christian dude, a man of faith, you couldn't just hook up.
I was not a Christian at that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we didn't even know what kind of music we played. We had one guitar player that played punk. I was a blues guitar player, so I played a lot of, like, blues lead and, like, you know, that style of guitar because that's how my dad and my uncle taught me. And then we had a metal drummer, did a lot of fillers, right? A lot of double bass, a lot of fillers. No, this is before that.
I'm trying to...
High school. Yeah, my son's talking to me. He goes, "Is that Joel?" I was like, "No." And then yeah. So we couldn't connect that day, and so we just raided my the other guitar player's mom's liquor cabinet. Yeah. That's what happened.
Okay.
She had the hookup. The thing was, I wasn't a drinker. You know, I was just a pothead. It was like I mean, I would drink beer, but I wasn't drinking like liquor. I was only like 14, man. 14 or 15. It was, you know, didn't have that yet. Yeah.
Now I'm imagining Slayer with an "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" mashup. Could be fun.
That was it. That would be it, man. It was like definitely like Slayer, Deicide, you know, Cannibal Corpse mixed with you know, some whatever punk rock music. I didn't listen to punk, but my best friend did, and so did the other. He was the singer. Yeah.
Also a little bit of Sarah McLachlan.
In the arms of an angel. Yeah, so then yeah, and our bass player, I forgot to say, was David Burnell, which he's an amazing guy. He's like he's so cool. But he was the bass player, and he's super hip hop and reggae. That's like all he listens to. And it was a weird band, you know. And I got kicked out of the band, believe it or not. And so did the drummer. So the drummer got kicked out. They replaced us with better guitar player and drummer.
I got a question for you, and this is just not even necessarily a question, a Sarah McLachlan thought. So Sarah McLachlan took the name McLachlan because she was married to Kyle McLachlan, who, if I recall correctly, was on Twin Peaks. That dude. Talking about the same dude. They were divorced by the time she blew up with the name Sarah McLachlan. If they're divorced, she kept the name. Shouldn't he get some points on the album?
Should he?
I feel like he should. Like, she's still using his name to get paid.
Yeah. She can't back out of it. That was where the money hit on the name, and it rolled so good. Sarah McLachlan.
It does.
You know?
Oh, it was I could not tell you what her last name was before, but it probably didn't go nearly as well. It was probably like Sarah Bergenschlurgen.
I was going to go with Bergenschlurgen. How did you know that?
It's a good guess.
Good guess.
Good guess. What else could it be?
Bergenschlurgen. Is that like Steak and Shake in Germany?
Yes. We are going to Bergenschlagen, and we are going to listen to songs about puppies. It's eyes of an angel. There's a dude with an accordion and lederhosen.
Or it could be like, what are they? They got some crazy techno there.
They've got all kinds of crazy techno over there. Yeah.
A lot of glow sticks. Yeah.
They used to have a thing called They used to have a thing called the Love Parade in Berlin, and that was like 2 million people raving in the middle of downtown Berlin.
It sounds like high school. There was a Battle of the Year in Germany. I think the 1996 one was for breakdancing. Yeah. Battle of the Year in Germany. Did you know they made a Battle of the Year movie?
No.
I didn't know that either, and I've seen it like as a... Yeah. Did you watch it? Really? I guess I watched it. Wow. You know?
Must not have been memorable.
It must not have been. I probably thought it was like another Tatum Channing movie.
I mean, why else would you watch it? By the way, is it me or does Dustin Poirier, is it me or does he look like if Channing Tatum actually fought? Like if Channing Tatum's action scenes were real, he'd look like Dustin Poirier.
Dude, that's a home run. Have you shared that with anybody else?
I'm sharing that with you.
You need to put a copyright on that because he does. And there was an MMA movie where Channing Tatum was. I think it was an MMA movie. He was like selling stuff on the side of the road and ends up beating up some thugs. And next thing you know, he's in some underground fighting scene. And then I had to go get the kids from school or something. I didn't watch the rest of it.
I'm vaguely familiar. I'm not sure if it wasn't Red Belt.
No, it wasn't Red Belt. I like Red Belt.
I did not see Red Belt. That's why I know it wasn't Red Belt. But I know what film you're talking about.
I steal a lot of the games that I play with, like Jiu-jitsu, like blindfold, tie one hand up, one hand leg back.
So that's that's like the thrash-in or like the rad of Jiu-jitsu or of movies. You know, like
you mean like Nicole Kidman rad?
Nicole Kidman wasn't in rad.
Yes, she was.
Lori Loughlin was in rad.
No, Nicole Kidman was, dude. With the BMX biking?
Yeah, I'm sure that Nicole Kidman was in a BMX film, but I don't think she was in rad.
She was. Dude, we're going to go back and watch it together.
All right. So, I'm going to need to settle this right now. I'm digging onto the internet.
All right.
So while I'm doing that, I need you to tell, okay, Nicole Kidman BMX movie. Yeah, perfect. BMX Bandits. Nicole Kidman was in BMX Bandits, not in Thrashin'.
I didn't say Thrashin', I said Rad.
Or Rad, not Rad. Lori Loughlin was in Rad.
She could have been a McLaughlin, and we'd still be watching that movie today.
My gosh. By the way, one of the things I discovered before I got off of Facebook, and this is how great and specific Facebook is, there's a Rad Racing fan page that is led by the ultimate Rad Racing fan. Like, he's got photos with Lori Loughlin. He's got one of the remodeled bikes with perfect specs.
Yeah.
You know, like, he's got like props from the movie. But Rad, like, as cool as that movie was, and as much as it affected certain people, it affected certain people a whole lot more.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's his only claim to fame, and you know, or it's his only claim to anything. It happens, man.
Yeah, I guess eventually, if you hang on long enough, you can own all of the memorabilia from your favorite, 80s sports movie. I wonder what's available on eBay that was used in Thrashin'.
Or Gleam in the Cube.
Ooh, whoever owns that aluminum skateboard is definitely, they're holding on to something.
with the plate, what is that called? The diamond plate?
Yeah.
That deflects bullets?
Man, that apparently handles real well.
You know what I liked about Thrashin' was that opening grind. That really long grind he does on the curb. That was really nice.
All of it was great. Like all of the flatland skating, the joust. Yeah. All of it was great. Like, and yeah, it was just such a fun fucking movie. Fun-loving movie. It's a fun-loving movie. I'm so sorry.
Be yourself, man.
I'm trying to work on it, man. It's weird because of the times that we live in. a lot of us are spending more time at home, and so I really have to watch watch what I say when my children are home. And
yeah.
so I gotta get better at it on a more regular basis.
Language is it comes from the heart, and so what's in your heart is going to come out your mouth. Yeah. So whatever you're putting in your heart, that's what's going to come out of your mouth. And so socializing also, like who and how you talk with people is always going to come out of your mouth. Like culturally, if you're an oil field worker and you're given to speaking or you're I don't know. I always go with oil field worker or you're in the Navy, I guess. I don't know. My dad was in the Navy. It's always those guys. It's anywhere where men are trapped on an island or a boat, and they just have to just talk rough and and I guess curse words are a part of talking rough. But you don't have to. You can talk rough without even talking. Honestly, you just say.
I don't even necessarily want to talk rough at this point. I got zero interest in that.
It's just a cultural habit,
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, put good things in your heart and then speak it out. I don't know. Talk with your children more. I don't know.
By the way, anyone listening right now, hearing and they heard the dog bark in the background, because I can't record in my house, I have to record in the studio. I'm trying to stay at home with my family. I'm recording in my car, and so my dog's more or less, he's hanging outside the car, barking at the air.
I can't hear it, though.
You can't? Oh, okay. Well, then it's me being self-conscious about my dog barking.
Yeah. Or you had a long day on your feet. Boy, these dogs are barking. What's it called? Yeah. Which,
by the way, would have been a terrible name for the first Die Hard.
Boy, these dogs are barking.
I mean, given how it all went down, it makes sense that could be an appropriate title, or Walk on a Rug.
Oh my.
Walk on a Rug 3, starring Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson.
Oh, Sam Jackson's in it? Is he in it?
Well, if he was he was in Die Hard 3. So if we're gonna call because not to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen the Die Hard, but the guy's feet were hurting, so he took his shoes off and he was barefoot for most of the movies. There he is. Bruce Willis shot a lot of people without shoes on. So if he'd have been barefoot, Boy These Dogs Are Barking Boy These Dogs Are Barking Part 3 or Walk on a Rug 3 with Sam Jackson would have been a great movie.
Plantar fasciitis. Yeah. Maybe. Now, Die Hard, people want to see that. It almost sounds like it'd be a Van Damme movie, but Bruce Willis was in it. Or a Seagal movie.
I don't know. I mean, I would have liked to have seen, and that's here's this idea out, because this is one that we went on in an earlier podcast. Was if you're going to be able to get to a point with streaming services where you're going to have downloadable content, where if you wanted to replace in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, you wanted to replace Clint Eastwood with Kevin Hart, or Pee Wee Herman.
I like Kevin Hart better. Pee Wee Herman would be good too. Yeah.
But you're going to be able to download that, right? You're going to be able to get that pack. You're going and in the same sort of universe, you would be able to put Clint Eastwood in Soul Plane.
Oh, he would be pissed.
But the great thing is he would be playing it as Kevin Hart. It would be Kevin Hart's dialogue. It wouldn't necessarily. I don't know if it would be Kevin Hart. It'd probably have to be Kevin Hart's mannerisms, but But
Dr. dialogue with Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, with Clint Eastwood. You know, fuck yeah, Bart, yeah.
It's going to turn into Gran Torino.
But you could do anything you want, man. You could put John Cena in Goodfellas as Joe Pesci's character. You know, if you put John Cena in Do I Look Am I a Clown to You? That's really terrifying.
He kind of does that type of stuff already. He is I don't know what it is about John Cena, man. I like that guy. He's like this humongous monster, right? And he plays like, when he does movies outside of Stepdad or Stepfather. He used to do the dad of Annoying Orange character, Fred. My kids used to watch this show, this kid, Fred. He's kind of like a Ernest Goes to Camp type character.
So he was a voice actor. Like John Cena's done a lot of things. Like
done a lot.
He's had a lot of hobbies. He released a record with Esoteric and Freddie Fox were both on there. Esoteric from Czarface and 7L and Esoteric and wow. Freddie Fox, Bumpy Knuckles. John Cena has had a really interesting career.
I don't even know who those guys are that you just mentioned. Czarface?
Czarface.
Like a Russian Scarface?
No, it's a rap group with, one of the guys that rapped with John Cena and Inspector Deck from the Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay.
So they've got a group called Czarface. Czarface is like a cartoon, like a comic book bad guy. And they've got like 5 records as this, and 7L, Esoteric's DJ, producers, does the music. So it's like, it sounds just really cool. It sounds like just very cool music. That's it. It's secular, so it's probably not like something you would find yourself listening to, but John Cena's not on the Czarface record. Okay. However, Esoteric of Czarface is on John Cena's record from like 02 or 03. Bumpy Knuckles, Freddie Fox, he used to run with Gangstar, Flava Unit, Queen Latifah's crew. He's been around for a very, very long time. Czarface you might actually like, but it is secular music, so I don't know. It's also like comic book stuff, and they rap. Yeah. Yeah, so it's either comic books, like it's comic book nerd stuff, or it's rapping about being a dad and walking a dog.
Right.
Those are your 2 avenues. Yeah.
I watched the video. Okay, so the comic book kind of goofy rap. Immediately, I think of Will Smith.
Okay.
And then I watched the video. I'm bringing it back to Satanism. Of Will Smith giving his soul to Satan through homosexual acts.
Ooh, I have not. Send me a link and I'll put it in the description.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to find that. It was.
There's a lot of stuff that you can find on Will Smith, and so I think that it's interesting when you see a rapper like Joyner Lucas, the guy whose video I sent you on Instagram, courtesy of Larry Johnson. He's the guy walking through the church carrying the Bible.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
He very recently released a video called Will, where he's practicing idolatry for Will Smith.
It was based off of that. It was based off of that, and how he wants to be like Will Smith. Yeah. That's the video I watched, and somebody was giving commentary on it.
Larry Johnson?
Is that the guy that was giving comments?
Yes.
Like Charlotte Horn, Larry Johnson from like 1990?
No. Larry Johnson, I think he played for the Cardinals. He's a football player, not basketball player. There's lots of Larry Johnson.
Yeah, I guess you're right. At home, he goes by Lawrence. Yeah. Yeah, so that was what I seen, and I was like, oh my gosh, no way. And it was like, it's like you just don't think about, why would you think about that stuff?
So let me bring this back to How High 2. In it, Lil Yachty, or not in How High 2, but very recently, Lil Yachty has played essentially Oprah. He dressed up as a woman called Bopra, so he dressed up in drag, and is in a rap video wooing Drake, making the googly eyes and shit. So it's like that's where we're at.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Take it or leave it. Like that's where we're at. The guy that is dressed up like Oprah wooing Drake is. Did you take a monster like dab rip, or is that your inhaler? What was that?
What? Oh,
sorry.
My nose?
Oh, okay. I thought you were taking a monster hit.
No.
I was like, whoa. All right.
No.
Oh.
No, I haven't smoked weed in years, man.
Okay.
From a while, but I don't even know the date. It was. I was done with it, man. It was just like, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. So it was just you blowing your nose or something. All right.
Yeah. No, I was sniffling. I'm out in the garage, and so we left the garage door open, and she was dressed to be outside with sweater and everything, and I was just wearing like shorts, like, and barefoot. I was in my house, and it was 28 degrees last night, and we're here with the garage door open, standing out here for like an hour or so, chit-chatting, and you could tell she hadn't been out of the house for a couple of weeks. Because we talked about everything, man. Yeah, and so it's still really cold in the garage, and I just took my hood off. I'm wearing a sweater. I was getting ready to work out, and then I saw you texting, and I called you. But, yeah. So, I mean, I got to ride the bike for a little bit, but still haven't hit it. That's why my nose is sniffling. I don't have the virus. So,
spirit animal stuff. Last night I took a walk with my wife, and I didn't think we were going to take a very long walk. We were just walking. I wore shorts like an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I got the sniffles too, man. I get it.
Well, it warmed up, dude. It warmed up, and then last night it got cold.
Well, it's also still Alaska. Like it's still real. It's still like we probably shouldn't be wearing shorts. That was probably bad judgment on our part.
Man, we just want to wear shorts, dude.
It's time. It's unnatural to not wear shorts at this point. Like anywhere else in the world, it's spring.
In Antarctica they're wearing shorts. Not here.
Yeah, they're bowling and stuff. They're doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, Iceland, they got grass, and it's Iceland, a land of ice.
It's true. That's true.
Yep.
So what are you watching? What are you watching that isn't satanic? Like, what would you recommend someone check out on Amazon or Netflix or something like that?
All right. So if you have Fight Pass, they're showing movies on Fight Pass. Did you know that?
I do not have Fight Pass.
Okay. So, all right. So the latest movie, last night I watched Back to the Future 3. I didn't know there was a third one because...
They're putting Back to the Future 3 on Fight Pass?
No, I'm getting to... You said you didn't have Fight Pass. I just moved on.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow. I thought you were giving me an example of what kind of movies they're showing on Fight Pass.
No, they got Kung Fu movies.
Oh.
Yeah, they're pretty dope. But, nevertheless, they have all of the 36 Chamber. All of them. They knew we needed to have that. But, and they got some other ones on there. So, I watched Back to the Future 3 last night. It was funny. And then, the one scene that made me laugh was when Doc Emmett Brown breaks up with Claire Clayton, and it's like a little kid's book, and the way it's written, and he's at the tavern, and he says, give me a drink, and then he's like, you want your glass of milk? He goes, I need something stronger than that. And the guy goes, want some sarsaparilla? You know, and he goes, no, I need whiskey. And they're like, you know what happened last time you drank? And so it makes you think, wow, Doc Brown, you know, he put away the whiskey and lost it. You know, he got wild or something. And so he's there and he's saying, he's just telling everybody how heartbroken he is about breaking up with his chick, and she was the whole world to him, everything. And then he broke up over a discussion about the future. And then somebody goes, no, this one dude goes, I've been all around the world selling this barbed wire fencing. And he goes, and you never know what the future holds. There's all kinds of women out there. They're all the same. You're going to find love anywhere. And he goes, what the future holds, you know, he gets crazy. And he starts talking about the future. You know, mind you, he's in 1885 in the Wild West. And he starts talking about the future. So he talks about the future all night long. And then Marty McFly comes in and he's like, Doc, we got to go. It's like 8 o'clock. We got to go. and he says, how much has he had to drink? No. Sorry, back that up. Rewind. Doc takes one shot. You see him drink this one shot of whiskey, and he passes out immediately. Boom. And they can't wake him up. And they say, he goes, how much did he drink? He goes, just that one shot. I thought that was so funny. Because he stayed talking all night long about the future. He's like, in the future, we're going to take buses and have automobiles, and we'll never... It's funny.
So, yeah. No, it's a weird... The technocracy in the future is real, my friend.
Yeah.
And there are going to be things in the next 20 or 30 years that when we look back, like, we didn't see that one coming. I mean, we should have. I mean, the science fiction of this time will have told those stories, but it's like, but that's what's there. We're looking at social credit scores. We're looking at all kinds of weird, scary technology and intrusions of privacy. And man, what a time to be alive!
You're gonna have to know how to shoot a gun or a bow. You got to know how to fish. You got to know how to plant a garden. You know, you're gonna have to know. You're gonna have to know how to take care of yourself, dude. You know, because if you have to be able to live apart from technology. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna know how to have a conversation with somebody face to face. Yeah,
absolutely.
We're going to have like these basic things back into play because, dude, you're going to have to know how to work on your car. You're going to have to know how to do everything just to be apart from society. Yeah, which I think, man, Alaskans have a jump on the rest of the world because we're still in that last frontier mentality up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there aren't too many, like, during this time of whatever crisis that we're in, there's no place in the world I think is better prepared for it.
Yeah.
I think that generally speaking, people here tend to have cooler heads and didn't respond and aren't responding the way they do in a lot of other places.
Yeah.
So in California, you have people lining up around the block to buy guns. We don't have people panicking like that. Maybe you bought some extra ammo. That's normally about the extent. I don't know of too many people that went out and bought armories. You know, panic buying guns and stuff. We have people who, most people up here have a freezer full of fish or a freezer full of something else. You and I have some friends that probably have refrigerators of freezers of stuff.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
for sure.
And so it's going to be a time for us to, you know, the great thing about this summer is going to be the opportunity to go out and do some of those things and learn, you know, take the opportunity to learn, to know what you're lacking. That's,
yeah,
figure out what
you have to barter. You got to learn how to all that stuff.
You got to learn how to be social.
Yeah.
People who are stuck in the house are going to need to get out of the house a little bit and interact with society. That was part of what got me off of Facebook, was just the freaking ugly. It was people in a rush to either be the most informed or the most influential, but you're doing it on a Facebook forum that isn't moderated. So you're not doing anything but arguing with people who, you don't know. You're arguing with people that have fake names that live in Anchorage.
Right.
I'm
on Facebook. Honestly, it's like the algorithm thing. You know what I mean? What's going to come up is what you're already looking at. So like we watched. It was hilarious because our church service is online now, and so Sunday morning we watched church on Facebook Live, and then right after church was done, it was on my phone. So the next video comes up, right? So you can imagine whatever you're watching, if you're having church service with your family and the next video comes up, if what you're putting in your mind is not good, this is what your whole family's going to see immediately, right? And the next video that came up was a fight, and it was like a street fight in Hawaii. So it shows you what I watch. It's just like nothing. I listen to nothing but preachers and fighting. That's it. And so it's like the next one, and it was a really good fight, dude. It was in Hawaii, and it was two dudes that looked like they knew what they were doing, man. They were like throwing kicks, checking them. They had good fight stance, hands up. They didn't look like a bunch of like like sloppy noodle people that stand in front of storefronts. You know what I'm talking about? That guy that's the air blowing machine.
Yeah.
That's how most of the street fights look. They're like swinging everywhere. They got this off-balance stance and all this stuff. These guys were getting after it, man. It was nice. Yeah.
They were both determined to win.
They were both determined to win, and they were both obviously trained. And my whole family, we like church service was over, and my whole family literally stayed there. And they're like, "Nice. Oh, look at see how he keeps." And my family is commenting on the fight, and I'm like, you could tell this guy's been training, the blah blah blah, and and it was awesome that's what happened. But I could tell you, like, some people, they're constantly listening to like political stuff and political arguments, and they're stuck in that world, man, and they can't get out of it, and so that's all they hear and see is just nonsense of these just endless arguments, man. Yeah, I hate it. I hate it because it splits families.
I know lots of people who aren't talking to, dads or moms or whoever because how they voted in 2016. And it's just going to get more and more fractured as we get closer to this election.
It says it in the Bible, man. It says, in the last days, mothers will turn against their children, sons against mothers, sons against fathers, daughters against mothers. What it's saying is in the book of Romans, families will split. There's going to be a shattering of the family, a scattering of the family, and the family is so very important to the construct of a society, and so that's happening, man. It's shattering not just in America, dude. It's happening around the world. But at the same time, this pause that the world is taking because of this virus, people are crying out to God in a new way, in a different way. It's like some people are returning back to the faith, and other people are just like, we have no answers. We need help. The Bible says in Proverbs to teach rich people not to depend on their wealth, because then they'll think they can get to heaven on their own good merit and good works and their own strength, and they don't need God. That they don't need God in their lives. That they can provide for themselves. And it's just like Jesus said to Pontius Pilate. He's just like, you have no power but what's given to you, you know, by God, you know, and it's we're at a point where rich people are afraid and fearful of what they might lose, you know. Who knows where this is going to go? I don't think America can stay indoors for much longer, honestly. Just the spirit of Americans is like, wait a second, you keep telling me what to do and I don't like it.
You can only go on for so long.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, we also live, I mean, for now, in a relatively safe bubble. As of the recording of this, we can still leave the house for just about everything is listed as essential.
Yeah.
Everything except for like gyms and tattoo shops and hair salons are essential, right? So
because those people need to make money.
But you're also seeing, you know, I guess the air quality in Los Angeles has gotten better. You're seeing all over the world. You're seeing sort of resets on nature. You're seeing fish going through the canals of Venice. You're seeing clear skies.
Yeah,
because not so many people are driving around just idly.
Yeah,
people are staying inside. So I think what you're saying is you're seeing an awakening in people, and I think you're going to see more people riding their bike to work this summer, or you know, going on walks during their lunch. Hopefully, you know, people will be. I don't want to say people like I'm not one of them. Like, hopefully, I'll be eating more fruit. Because I'm eating now, like I'm eating more fruits. I'm having more oranges and taking my vitamins and stuff. Because I know those are the things that I've got to do if I want to take care of myself.
Yeah.
However, you know, am I going to backslide when, you know, everyone can go outside again whenever they want to sit around and fucking or love their time away?
Right. Yeah, I've been enjoying cooking at home. You know, home cooked meals. That's been a plus. Which we usually do have home cooked meals here. It's not like I'm constantly going out. But the thing is like our home cooked meals now have increased to like this, like almost you know, it's like 5-star restaurant category. You know, we're prepping for like 3 days in advance, sauces, you know. It's like, how often in your life are you prepping sauces, you know, or meals, you know? And it's like only on special occasions. But now we're doing it like every day.
I'm making ice cream. That's my hobby. That's my quarantine hobby.
That's a good, man. That is awesome.
Yeah. So when this is done and we can hang out again, I'd love to give you some ice cream, and I'd love to try some cool sauces.
Yeah, and I've been making tons of Cuban coffee.
And I want some Cuban coffee.
Yeah, I know you do. And I want some ice cream. Go ahead and hand.
Oh, yeah. You can drop a scoop of ice cream in the Cuban coffee. Oh my gosh.
When I was a waiter, a server, and at this restaurant, this Irish restaurant, J.G. McGinnis, and we had a big Jamaican family come in, and they asked for Guinness floats. I had never had a Guinness float in my life, and they were like, "It's a very common drink, I guess, and for Jamaicans."
That's a terrible Jamaican accent, by the way.
You've had it?
No, I'm just saying your Jamaican accent is terrible.
Oh, man.
So, there's a beer called Irish Death. It comes from Iron Horse Brewery, and it tastes like a better Guinness. But if you mix that with whipped vodka, sure, that tastes like I get it.
A Guinness float.
Yeah, it's delicious. I get it. So it's just Guinness and a scoop of ice cream?
Yeah, that was what they got, man. Yeah. I still haven't had it, but I mean, I saw them drink it.
Root beer floats are a thing.
Root beer floats are a thing. And I love them.
That would mean that someone out there has also had, like, maybe in Jamaica, has had a red stripe float.
That's probably what happened. Here's the thing: is like having something refrigerated. I don't know. Have you been? You've been to Jamaica?
Nope.
So I've been to Jamaica, and it's like there wasn't a lot of refrigeration where I was. It was like coolers, you know, with like ice, and like they had these little shanties and stuff where they were selling like, you know, canned juices and Red Stripe. It's beer. Red beer. Yeah, so like, what's it called? Yeah, I went to Jamaica on a mission trip. Amazing trip. I had a blast. Yeah, we weren't at like what's that place called? Beaches Resort. We weren't at that or the Palms or anything like that. We stayed in like this. It was normal to me because I was raised in Miami. It was actually like an apartment that I would have grown up in. And it was just like, you know, cinder block with stucco on the outside and a fan, you know. That was it, man. And we loved it. I loved it. Actually, the rest of the group from Alaska did not love it. They looked like they were dying the whole trip. Everybody had red faces and were sweating like crazy. I would sneak out at night. Me and one of the other youth pastors would sneak out at night, and we'd go across the street to this bar called Alfred's to listen to these bands play. Just amazing reggae. They were awesome.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. They were skying it up. It was so amazing because him and I were in a band together, and we played a lot of reggae style music, which I still like to play. Yeah, but yeah, that was a fun trip, man. Played soccer one time all day long, and then raced these kids back to eat lunch. I ended up having heat stroke.
So hey, my phone is dying. It's
all right.
I really would like to at some point go back to some of the end times conversation, but definitely not when I'm at 8%.
Oh man, I can't wait for that talk.
All right,
and you need to watch Return to the 36th Chamber. That's what I want to do.
So I'll watch Return to the 36th Chamber. We'll review it, and then we'll talk about end times.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, sounds like a deal. Right. Thank you, Jason, so much for your time.
Thank you, man. Later.